Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're your shortcut to getting really well informed on the latest. And today, we're jumping straight into the world of Formula One.
That's right. Specifically, we're looking at the Hungarian Grand Prix, the Hungaroring, and that crucial free practice 2 session.
Yeah, FP2 always tells a story, doesn't it? Our mission here is basically to unpack everything important from that session. We're talking key takeaways, maybe some unexpected twists, standout performances.
All based on the latest reports, the analysis coming straight from the circuit.
Exactly. We've sifted through, the timing sheets, the data, the radio chat, observations, basically trying to give you the essential nuggets.
So you can quickly get up to speed on what went down and, maybe more importantly, what it all means.
And honestly, this session, it definitely threw up some surprises, a bit of drama on track too.
It always does at the Hungaroring, doesn't it? It felt like the narrative for the weekend could be shifting already.
Okay, yeah, let's unpack this then. So the big headline, the thing everyone's buzzing about, McLaren, reports suggest they were just, well, untouchable in FP2. What did the timing sheet actually show?
Well, untouchable is pretty much the word some reports were using. LANDO Norris, he topped the session with a really blistering 1.15.624.
Well, okay.
And Oscar Piastri, his teammate, right there behind him, 1.15.915. So just over 0.2 separating them.
That's incredibly close between teammates, but way ahead of.
Way ahead of everyone else. I mean, the analysis coming out described their pace like they were in another galaxy. Some even used the word imbatables. Unbeatable.
Unbeatable in FP2. That's quite a statement.
It really is. It wasn't just, oh, they're a bit quick. It felt like a different league compared to the rest of the field in that session, which is, well, fascinating this early in the weekend.
It does feel like a massive statement.
Mm-hmm.
But even with that speed, things weren't perfectly smooth, were they? We saw that heart-stopping moment.
Oh, yeah.
The big scare, or sustazo, as some reports put it, between Norris and Piastri right near the end. Turn 1.
Yeah, that was incredibly close. Norris really had to slam on the brakes, lock up quite dramatically, actually, to avoid hitting Piastri.
It just shows you, doesn't it? The margins are so fine, even when you're miles faster than everyone else.
Absolutely. And Norris had another little moment earlier, too, remember? Last corner, touch the earth, bit of a wiggle.
Right, right.
It highlights how hard they're pushing, even in practice. But here's the really interesting part.
Go on.
Even with those moments, and reports saying Piastri hit traffic on his quick lap.
Okay.
And apparently neither driver felt they put in a truly perfect lap. Their times were still that much faster.
So what you're saying is there might be even more pace in that McLaren.
That's the question it raises, isn't it? If this wasn't even their absolute peak and they're still that far ahead, I mean, it suggests McLaren could genuinely be fighting for pole, maybe even the win, purely on merit this weekend.
That would be a massive shift in the pecking order.
A potential turning point for their season, definitely. Not just a one-off.
Okay, so while McLaren are grabbing the headlines, let's pivot. Aston Martin. They seemed to show some real optimism, didn't they?
Yeah.
New parts introduced back at Spa. How did they look?
Yeah, Aston Martin looked promising, definitely promising. Lance Stroll put in a really strong lap for 4th place, so 1.16.221.
Solid.
And Fernando Alonso, remember he missed FP1 with some back issues.
Right, yeah.
He jumped back in for FP2 and was right there, 5th place with a 1.16.233.
Wow, that's incredibly close between them. Just 100th of a second.
Let's see, 0.221 and 0.233. Yeah, just over 100th. Very, very close.
And Alonso getting 17 laps in after missing FP1? That's a good sign, sure.
Really, it's a very good signal, yeah. Good for data gathering, especially after sitting out the first session. And connecting this to the bigger picture, having both cars so tightly matched.
Yeah.
It suggests consistency across the garage. It wasn't just one driver pulling out a great lap. It hints that the car itself, maybe those upgrades, have taken a genuine step forward.
And the reports seem to pick up on that. Some were saying Aston Martin was performing at the height of Ferrari as the second team, at least on those timesheets. Is that a fair assessment, do you think?
Well, based purely on the FP2 times, they were right there with Leclerc's Ferrari, and obviously ahead of SAINZ. So, yeah, the comparison holds up for that session.
That's a big leap for them, potentially challenging Ferrari.
It suggests the upgrades they brought are working, or at least working well here at the Hungaroring. The key thing, I think, is whether this performance level is sustainable. Has Aston Martin really shifted their baseline?
And could they disrupt that established top 3?
Exactly. If they can consistently challenge Ferrari, maybe even put pressure on Red Bull on an off day, that makes the constructors' fight much more interesting. For Hungary, at least, the package looks potent.
Okay, let's swing over to Ferrari then.
Huh?
Bit of a mixed bag for them, it seems.
Yeah, you could say that. Charles Leclerc was consistently up there, P3. Solid lap 1.16.023.
But still a gap to the McLarens.
Still a noticeable gap, yeah. Around 4/10 off Norris's time. That's something they'll need to find overnight.
Definitely. But what about Carlos Sainz? His session sounded trickier.
Yeah. SAINZ had a much tougher time, finished way down in P16.
P16. Ouch. What happened there?
Seems like a combination of things. He had an issue in turn 5 earlier on. Then in FP1, he couldn't get a clean lap on the soft C5 tire because he locked up. And then the big one in FP2, the team lost telemetry from his car.
Oh, no telemetry. That's really difficult.
It's like flying blind, exactly. They actually told him on the radio to stop in the pits because of it.
Did he?
Apparently not straight away. He continued for a bit. Maybe he didn't hear, maybe wanted to finish a run. But losing telemetry really hampers everything. You can't see what the car's doing, can't optimize the setup properly. It's exactly what you don't want in practice.
Yeah, incredibly frustrating for him and the team. Just makes understanding the car so much harder. Speaking of frustration, maybe the biggest surprise, the biggest drama, was actually at Red Bull.
Yeah. You could definitely say that.
Max Verstappen. Reports say he sounded absolutely desperate on the radio.
That's the word used, yeah. The quote being passed around was him saying, "It's undrivable. I have no balance anywhere."
Undrivable.
From Max Verstappen.
Exactly. And he finished down in P14, over a second off Norris's McLaren pace.
Over a second. That's huge. Highly uncharacteristic for him and for Red Bull.
It really is. And this raises that important question, doesn't it? Is this genuine struggle, or are they just hiding their true pace, sandbagging?
What's your gut feeling?
Well, given how vocal Max was, how genuinely frustrated he sounded, and the fact this wasn't really an improvement from FP1, it leans towards genuine issues. For him to call the car undrivable, that's not something you hear often. He's usually so good at driving around problems. This doesn't feel like the dominant Red Bull we've, come to expect. You can almost feel the tension. And didn't he, wasn't there something about him throwing something out of the cockpit?
Yes. That incident. He was seen apparently throwing something. Reports suggest maybe a towel or something similar from the cockpit during the session.
Throwing a towel, literally.
Seems like it, which led to a post-session investigation by the stewards. They'd want to know what it was and why.
Wow. That's pretty rare for any driver, let alone a champion usually so composed. It just adds another layer of strangeness to their session, doesn't it?
It absolutely speaks volumes about the level of frustration he must have been feeling, an unusual sight, and it really underscores the challenges they seem to be facing. I wouldn't have wanted to be a fly on the wall in that Red Bull debrief.
No kidding. Definitely not the smooth session they'd have wanted. Okay, so beyond those big stories, McLaren flying, Red Bull struggling, what else caught your eye across the rest of the field in FP2? What about, say, Mercedes?
Mercedes looked, quietly solid, I'd say. George Russell actually set the very first reference time in the session, a 1.17.442, and Lewis Hamilton ended up 6th. So, slotted in behind those Aston Martins, but ahead of the troubled Red Bull. Decent, if not headline-grabbing, probably focusing on race pace.
Right, and speaking of race pace, we saw quite a bit of variation in tire strategies during the long runs, didn't we?
Yes, and that's always crucial data for Sunday. Teams were definitely experimenting. You had guys like Alonso, Hamilton, Ollie Bierman, too, out there on the soft tires for their long runs.
Testing durability, presumably.
Exactly. Then you had Esteban Ocon and Gabriel Bortoleto trying out the hard compound, and most of the others seem to be running on the mediums.
So everyone gathering different data points.
Precisely. Testing degradation, seeing how the car feels on different compounds over a race stint under fuel load, all critical pieces of the puzzle for strategy. Oh, and SAINZ, interestingly, was the first one out on the soft tires in FP2 right at the start.
Trying to get a baseline early, perhaps?
Could be. Trying to understand that C5 compound better after his issues in FP1.
And, of course, it wouldn't be a practice session without a few little incidents affecting the track itself.
True. Nico Hülkenberg had an off at turn 12. Kick up quite a bit of gravel onto the circuit.
Right, and I think Esteban Ocon was complaining about that.
Yeah, he came on the radio worried about the gravel potentially damaging the floor of his car. Even small things like that can have knock-on effects.
How so?
Well, gravel on the racing line affects grip, obviously. It can also increase tire wear or even cause punctures if a car picks up a sharp piece. It just adds another variable for the teams trying to understand their car's balance and performance. It's all part of that complex picture they're building.
So, As we wrap up our deep dive into this really quite dramatic FP2 session from Hungary, the big picture seems to be McLaren stunning everyone with their pace.
Absolutely dominant in that session.
Red Bull looking unexpectedly shaky, really struggling for balance.
Verstappen's comments were pretty telling.
And Aston Martin showing some genuinely promising form, potentially mixing it up with Ferrari.
Yeah, they look like the upgrades might be paying off. It really did shake up the expected order. Gave us a lot to think about, didn't it?
It certainly did.
But, despite McLaren's raw speed in FP2, we have to remember it's just practice. The long-run data was varied across teams and tire compounds.
It's true.
And you have feedback like Verstappen's intense frustration.
Right.
It all suggests that qualifying, and especially the race, could still hold plenty of surprises.
Conditions can change. Setups will be refined overnight.
Exactly. How teams translate Friday's data into Saturday's qualifying performance and Sunday's race strategy, that's the real test. It's definitely not a done deal yet. Far from it.
Which leaves us and you with this final thought to chew on. We've seen McLaren's incredible one-lap speed, but also Red Bull's serious-sounding problems.
Yeah.
We saw teams trying all sorts of tire strategies. So heading into qualifying in the race, what strategic gambles are we going to see? Will McLaren risk it all for pole? Can Red Bull fix their issues overnight? And how might the track conditions evolve, maybe get hotter, rubber in more to favor one approach over another?
It's going to be absolutely fascinating to watch it all unfold.
It really is. Thanks so much for joining us on this deep dive into FP2 at the Hungaroring. We'll be back to break down more F1 action soon.